So at Ashley Hall, every senior does a senior project. And for my senior project, I wanted to focus on HIV/AIDS. So my project is called the PACT Project, and it stands for Promoting AIDS Awareness Among Charleston's Teens. And for my project, I wanted to learn all about every single aspect of HIV/AIDS so that I could spread awareness and demystify any misconceptions about the disease. My goal for the project is to educate my peers about the truths and facts of HIV/AIDS so that you guys can make your own opinions based on the truth and then go out and spread that truth. So when I started my project, I knew that I wanted to partner with a nonprofit organization, and I also knew that I wanted to give AIDS awareness talks to my peers at local high schools so I could share with them how much of a problem HIV/AIDS is at home, not just abroad, and also to tell you guys how you can give back. So, in partnering with a nonprofit, I knew that I wanted to have a lasting contribution and relationship with the organization. I knew that I wanted to learn from another program, and I knew that I wanted to either bring it to Charleston or partner with one that was already in Charleston. So, Accordia Global Health Foundation, there are some brochures over there that I made about Accordia and over there, so when you guys leave, you can take one on your way out if you want. They are centralized in Kampala, Uganda, which is in Africa, and they work to build up the sustainable healthcare of Africa. There's some facts in there about Accordia, and some of them that I thought were really compelling are Accordia has trained 8,000 healthcare workers from 27 different African countries since it began in 2001. That's a huge deal. So Accordia is my way of giving back, and later I will tell you how each and every one of you can also give back. So first, we're going to start off with some shocking statistics. So every 12 seconds, another person contracts HIV. This is worldwide. Every 16 seconds, another person dies from AIDS. In 2009, there are an estimated 33.3 million people living with HIV/AIDS worldwide. At the end of 2009, women accounted for just over half of all adults living with HIV/AIDS worldwide. Around 68% of all people living with HIV reside in sub-Saharan Africa. In 2009, there were 1.8 million AIDS-related deaths, 36 million since the epidemic began in the United States, which was, we consider, 1981. In 2009, there were an estimated to be 16.6 million orphans due to AIDS, and almost 90% of these orphans live in sub-Saharan Africa. So you can imagine how big of a problem it is there. So before we officially get started, I wanted to see how much you guys know about HIV. And I'm going to eat some candy. So, can anyone tell me what HIV and/or AIDS stands for?
Immunodeficiency.
Almost.
Immune disease. Hungry.
Oh my gosh, you got it. So, sorry. You said HIV stands for Human Immunodeficiency Virus, and AIDS, we're very close, but it stands for Acquired Immune Deficiency Syndrome. So, can anyone contract HIV/AIDS?
Yes. Yes.
Oh. Oh, sorry. Yes, anyone can contract HIV/AIDS. So keep that one in mind. And then can anyone tell me what HIV/AIDS is?
Right here, front row.
Basically, just it's like the breakdown of the immune system, so the viruses can kind of come in and take it.
Perfect. Great. What is HIV/AIDS? So HIV, like he said, is human immunodeficiency virus, and AIDS is acquired immune deficiency syndrome. So HIV is the retrovirus that attacks specific white blood cells, which are your immune system cells, making the infected person unable to fend off common infections. So your immune system is super, super weak. And we call AIDS a pandemic. And you might be wondering, well, what is the difference between a pandemic and an epidemic? A pandemic is a disease that affects many countries, or you're talking about a disease that is affecting many countries. So, pandemic affects many countries of the world. Where an epidemic, you're only talking about one country. So, for instance, the epidemic in the United States. So you guys can pass this around. So when we talk about AIDS, we're generally talking about a pandemic because it affects many countries of the world. So, what is the difference between HIV and AIDS? So HIV is the virus, so it's a virus you get. And then AIDS is the syndrome that follows once HIV has taken over your body. So scientifically, it's when your CD4 count or white blood cell count is above 200 in a certain amount of blood. So they measure your blood for that, and that's how you test to see if you have HIV or not. But if it's below 200 and or you're showing symptoms of AIDS, that's what AIDS is. And when you have AIDS, you are susceptible to uncommon infections that most uninfected people do not get. So some similarities are your immune system is super weak, it affects children and adults, and it can be controlled with antiretroviral treatment. And it's important to know that you can live a super healthy life with HIV. Many people take the medicine, live a healthy life, and they're fine, and they never get AIDS. But if, for example, in Africa, you don't have the treatment readily available or it's too expensive, your body can't live without treatment with HIV, and so HIV takes over your body, and you ultimately become too weak to fend off infections, and then you die, probably. So HIV is not a death sentence. Keep that in mind. So what are the symptoms? So this is kind of what an HIV cell looks like. So what happens is the HIV cell gets into your body, it attaches to a specific receptor on a white blood cell, gets in there, it replicates, and then it leaves and goes and infects other cells. And this is sort of a complex, more in-depth version of how it happens. So if you want to come up and take a look at that later, you're more than welcome to. So it infects specifically CD4 T cells, which are immune system cells. And once infected, the viral cells replicate and then spread throughout the body. So some symptoms which contribute to the morbidity of the disease are HIV wasting syndrome, which is excessive diarrhea that can lead to a weight loss of more than 10% of a person's body weight. That's crazy. That's terrible. AIDS dementia syndrome, or complex, which is brain deterioration, HIV nephropathy, which is a kidney disease, and Kaposi's sarcoma, which is a very rare skin cancer. And then unexplained lasting fever, lasting cough, skin rash, oral thrush, which is when you get white sores in your mouth, and enlarged lymph nodes are some minor symptoms. And so those are the symptoms of AIDS. You know, full-blown out AIDS. And also opportunistic infections are diseases that can attack the immune system easily and brutally since the immune system is so weak. So those are, some examples of those are pneumonia, but not the normal type of pneumonia that you and I would get. It's a specific type. Toxoplasmosis, which is a brain disease, and tuberculosis. You guys all know what tuberculosis is. So these are symptoms of AIDS. So if you're walking down the street, you can't tell if a person has HIV. If they're taking their medicines, if they're living healthily, you can't tell. So it's important that we don't profile people and say, oh, he or she has HIV. You can't tell. So that's not founded in life. So, for example, you guys know who Magic Johnson is, right? He's a great basketball player. He's super tall, super strong, healthy. He has HIV, and you will never be able to tell just by looking at him, right? Okay. So, but this is a video of someone who has AIDS, and I'm not sure about the details behind why they took it or what, like who she is or whatever, but I thought this was interesting. day 90 when they started filming.